When I first met Rachel, she seemed like everything I had ever wanted. Smart, charming, and endlessly supportive. My parents adored her. My friends envied me. And I thought I had finally found the partner who would walk beside me through every storm. For years, I trusted her with everything. My heart, my dreams, and eventually my family's savings. See, my parents had worked their whole lives to put money aside, not just for their retirement, but as a safety net for me and my younger brother. When my father passed away, I became the one responsible for keeping that money safe. I never questioned Rachel when she offered to help manage it. She had a background in finance, and she made me believe she was the perfect person to handle it wisely. For a while, life seemed almost perfect. We were talking about starting a family, buying a new home, and finally living the kind of life we'd always dreamed of. But there were small cracks I ignored: late nights at work, secretive phone calls, and sudden bursts of defensiveness when I asked simple questions. I chalked it up to stress, never once suspecting the truth. The truth came crashing down one morning when I got a call from the bank. Our joint account, the one holding my family's savings, had been completely drained. I remember staring at the numbers on the screen, my stomach twisting as the reality sank in. Almost $150,000 gone. I rushed home to confront Rachel, but she wasn't there. Hours later, she walked through the door calm as ever, and when I demanded to know where the money went, her face broke into something I'll never forget: a smirk. "I needed it," she said simply, as if she had borrowed $20 instead of stealing my family's legacy. And then came the second blow. She admitted she was pregnant, but not with my child. She had been having an affair for almost a year with a man from her office, and the money she stole? She used it to build a new life with him. I can't even put into words the way my chest felt in that moment. Like the air had been ripped out of me. My wife wasn't just unfaithful. She had betrayed my family, stolen their future, and now carried another man's child. I sat there in silence, staring at Rachel as she confessed every vile detail. She looked almost proud of herself, as if betraying me, my family, and everything we had built together was some kind of twisted liberation. "You don't understand," she said coldly. "I want freedom. I don't want to be tied down to a boring life with you. I want passion, excitement. And with him, I finally feel alive." Her words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. She wasn't just leaving me. She was spitting on everything we shared, everything my family had sacrificed. My mother's savings, my father's hard-earned money, the future my brother and I were supposed to have. It was all gone. At first, I was paralyzed. Anger, sorrow, disbelief, they all tangled together until I couldn't even breathe. She packed her things casually, humming under her breath, as if dismantling my life was nothing more than moving out for a weekend trip. The days that followed were a blur of humiliation and devastation. My mother's heart broke when I told her the truth. My brother looked at me with disappointment, as though I had failed to protect what our father had entrusted me with. And deep down, I felt like he was right. But pain has a strange way of transforming into something else. The more I thought about Rachel's smug grin, the more the sorrow hardened into rage. I couldn't undo what she had done, but I could make sure she never got to enjoy it. I started quietly. First, I spoke with a lawyer. Because Rachel had stolen the money without my consent and funneled it into accounts linked to her new partner, I had grounds for a serious case. My lawyer assured me that if I played it smart, not only could I expose her, but I could also drag her lover down with her. And then came the most unexpected twist of all. Rachel's affair partner wasn't the successful businessman she painted him to be. He was drowning in debt, using Rachel as his golden ticket out of financial ruin. That's why he encouraged her to take the money. That's why he promised her a new life. She thought she had traded up, but really, she had shackled herself to a sinking ship. As I gathered evidence, I made sure Rachel had no clue. She thought she had won, living in some cheap apartment with him, proudly parading her growing belly around as if she had escaped a cage. What she didn't know was that every single step she took was one closer to her downfall. The day of reckoning arrived sooner than Rachel ever expected. She was 7 months pregnant when the first legal notice landed on her doorstep. Her lover had been named as a co-conspirator in a fraud case. My lawyer made sure every stolen dollar was traced back to both of them. Rachel stormed into my workplace, her face pale and her confidence shattered. "How could you do this to me?" she hissed, her voice trembling. I looked at her calmly, the same woman who once claimed she wanted freedom. "I didn't do this to you, Rachel. You did this to yourself. Actions have consequences. And this," I tapped the file of evidence in my hand, "is just the beginning." Her affair partner panicked first. When confronted with the charges, he turned on her instantly. He claimed she acted alone, that he had no part in the theft, throwing her under the bus without hesitation. The man she had destroyed her marriage and family for abandoned her faster than she could blink. Rachel, for the first time, began to understand what true betrayal felt like. Court hearings dragged on for months. My family sat through every session, heads held high. My lawyer shredded Rachel's lies one by one, exposing not just her theft but also her affair, her deceit, and her shameless disregard for the family that had supported her. The judge ordered Rachel to repay every cent, money she didn't have. And then came the crushing blow. Full custody of our daughter remained with me. The court ruled Rachel unfit, citing her reckless behavior and unstable living situation. She had destroyed herself so thoroughly that even the system saw through her facade. When the final verdict was announced, I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I simply walked out of the courtroom with my mother's hand in mine, leaving Rachel sitting there alone, crying into her palms. The freedom she wanted had arrived, but stripped bare of money, love, and even her child. Months later, I heard she gave birth alone in a charity hospital. Her lover had vanished, leaving her with nothing but debts and regrets. Sometimes people in town whispered about her, how she looked like a ghost of her former self, pushing a stroller with empty eyes. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly, painfully, but with purpose. I poured myself into my family's trust again, working side by side with my brother to recover what we had lost. My mother's pride in me returned, and with time, so did my sense of peace. And whenever I thought back to Rachel's words, that she wanted freedom, I realized something. She had gotten exactly what she wanted, but freedom without love, without loyalty, without honor, was nothing more than loneliness. She had stolen my family's savings, betrayed me, and had another man's baby. But in the end, the cost of her betrayal was far greater than anything she had taken from me. Because while I lost money, she lost everything.